Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be talking about Rivals of Aether 2 at Don't Park on the Grass 2024. Now, like the last recap video I made for Rivals Major, this is going to be more so focusing on the meta of the game, but we are still going to be talking about some significant runs. And for our top 16 finishes, you're going to have Studbasher Hotch, I believe that's how you say that, Gengar, HKP, and Snake in 13th, Sediment, Amsa, Bunthers, and Evil Nardwar in 9th, Mata and Cheesy Potato in 7th, B-Bats and KYB in 5th, Pikmon rather in 4th, Leffen in 3rd, Mystery Soul in 2nd, and winning the entire thing was Cakeassault. And if you watched my Heatwave video, you know that we did a character composition for the top 48. We're going to be doing the same thing for this video, except it's for the top 32 this time around, and it was made by Void, so shouts to the Void. His link will be down below. Be sure to check him out. But really quickly, I'll put up the Heatwave character composition on the screen. And even though we have 16 less players to look at, we can still kind of glean which characters are having more or less success, and we can also see which characters are having the exact same amount of success. As you can see, one of the unchanging characters from Heatwave to Don't Park is going to be Wrastor, remaining at that single rep. Now, was it the same rep? I'm not too sure about that, but I think this makes sense for Wrastor not be finding a ton of success in the early meta of the game. As I talked about in my initial video, hit falling is really important with Wrastor, more so than it is with any other character in this game, and because of that, a lot of people that are coming from Smash Ultimate, for example, where that mechanic doesn't exist, they're going to have a lot harder time adjusting to that, and Wrastor's just a weird character to adjust to in general. He's playing majority in the air. His grounded buttons are going to be a lot slower, especially in contrast to all the other characters in this game, and on top of that, you are the lightest character in the game, so you can make the fewest amount of mistakes before you actually explode. I think Wrastor is a top 3 character in this game, absolutely. The combos that you have with him are ridiculous, and you can start those combos from the ground, but obviously it's going to be a lot easier to do so from the air as well as from a grab. Once Wrastor players start figuring out their character, how to get these crazy combos and then ending them with up B confirms, which you can end a lot of them in up B confirms or one of the smash attacks, strong attacks, I should say. I think Wrastor is going to be a character that maybe doesn't shoot up the tier list, but definitely rises up the tier list and steadily rises up the tier list, doesn't go down. But for now, it makes sense that he's struggling. For the 2 character spot, you're going to have forseburn and clairen. Now, I think these characters losing a little bit of representation is more so just the sample size being smaller than anything, because you have similar peaks from both of these characters. You're going to have Pikmon getting a top 4 result at this event. He got 5th place at Heatwave, and you didn't have a single clairen player getting into the top 8 at Heatwave, and that was the same thing at Don't Park on the Grass. Now, I think clairen is a character that is really, really weird, because I think she's one of the easiest, if not the easiest character in the game, but only if you know how to space, and that is just something that is inherently hard to do for some people. So clairen has this like level of entry that is really easy to break if you know how to space, but if you don't, the character is just like absolute garbage, impossible to get value out of them. So I think when people get more used to the timing of clairen, the size of her hitbox, and just kind of the understanding there, she's going to become like the most popular character in the game, up there with kragg, but you're not going to be seeing a ton of her actually get into top 8s going on these crazy runs, unless it's someone like Rongushu, who's like actually God's gift to clairen. I think it's going to be more difficult to make a super deep run at this event, but I think the character is going to be extremely popular. And then for forseburn, I think this is actually exactly where we will see forseburn in the meta, just kind of towards the lower end, but you could have 1 or 2 players making a significant run with him, because I think if you push this character to the extreme, he has some crazy tech, especially with these supposed clone buffs that are coming that could be really, really good for him. So forseburn, I don't think is going to be dominating the meta, but I could absolutely see one of the best players in the world, like top 5, top 10, being a forseburn main, and then I think clairen is going to become really, really popular. In the 3 characters here, you got Ranno, Zetterburn, Orcane, and Loxodont. And Orcane and Zetterburn were in this tier in my last video, so if you're curious about that, just go watch that video. My opinions on them really have not changed. Link will be down below. But Zetterburn, or rather Loxodont and Ranno, do have changes. And Loxodont, I'm pretty confident, is just because the sample size is smaller, but I still want to talk about him just because this is a character that I think will actually continue finding success early in the meta. Loxodont's gimmick of down B is like ridiculously strong, and I think it's a lot easier to utilize than all of the other mechanics in this game. Maybe not all of them. Clairen's stun is pretty easy to utilize as well, but you're able to get a lot of value right away with this move from Loxodont. It's going to be a major kill confirm, major disadvantage move, just a neutral tool in general if you want to be moving around. And because of that, I think you're actually going to continue having Loxodont players finding success early in the meta. Now, not to the point where they're getting into the top 8. I don't think we're ever going to have another no run. Maybe I shouldn't say ever, but I think it's going to be a little bit before we have another no run, something on that level. But I do think there's a very high chance that you have a handful potential loxodont players running around in the top 32, maybe even one of them sneaking in to the loser side of top 8. But honestly, every single tournament that we see people just show up to this game, I think it's going to be harder and harder for the loxodont players, as the meta for him is just not going to be progressed as faster as the other characters because there's just not as much to progress. But a character with near infinite meta potential is going to be Ranno. Now, you do have a slight fall off in representation, but again, that's just because the sample size is small. The highest placing Ranno at Heatwave was Squanto, ended up losing winners quarters, got 3rd place. Leffen did the exact same thing at this event, loses in winners quarters, gets 3rd place. We'll talk about his run in just a bit, but I want to talk about Ranno really quick because I kind of skipped him in the first video. Ranno is insanely broken. Dart is one of the most broken moves I have ever seen in a fighting game because not only are you perfectly able to follow up with it with a forward air, with a back air, just when you are vertically challenging your opponent when they're off stage, or even just like you're descending on them, but you're able to fast fall with the darts. So I can like double jump, start charging my darts, and I can either choose to volley those darts at you when you're running at me, or I can fast fall, immediately get to the ground and just shoot them straight at you. The variety that he has with the darts is so broken. And then on top of that, the rest of his kit is also insane. He's got chic mobility, he's got chic frame data, except for some reason they let his back air combo into itself if you get the weak hitbox, and also anything else. After that, down tilt is going to be the same basic strong kill confirm that it is with Sheik. You're going to be able to get a ton of value out of that. Forward air is going to be nerfed. I can guarantee you that forward air is going to be nerfed as a move, potentially side B as well, because that's just such a broken command grab. To have a disjointed command grab that is like quite literally half the stage is amazing. And I know the move is very reactable, but there's only one way to react to it, and that's just like rolling away or actually timing your spot dodge. So I guess 2 ways. You caught me there. But Ranno is a character with so much pressure because of the combination of darts and tongue, as well as just his general mobility. Once he gets his hits on you, he's one of the strongest characters in the game in terms of damage output and kill confirms. He's just really broken, and he's going to be nerfed, I can guarantee it. With 4 reps, you got Maple, 5 reps, Kragg, and these characters stayed pretty much exactly the same. Kragg literally stayed exactly the same, despite the sample size being smaller, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about them, because the generalizations that I made in the first video still stay exactly true. I think Kragg is really easy to pick up, and he has a super high ceiling. I think Maple is the best character in the game, and she has potentially the highest ceiling in the game. That's only going to get better, so it makes a ton of sense that these characters are finding success for me. And again, if you want a little bit more detail on them, just go watch my Heatwave video. And the final character that we got to talk about, the one that stole the show, is going to be Fleet. And they went from 2 reps in the top 48 of Heatwave 7 to 6 reps in the top 32 of Don't Park on the Grass. And 4 of those Fleet players ended up getting into the top 8, 3 of them through the winner side, which is unprecedented. To have 4 of any character in the top 8 is insane, but when that character is not even the best in the game, well, maybe not the best in the game, that is even more crazy. And I have 2 explanations for this. The first one is going to be that there were no clairen players in this bracket, and clairen is really good against Fleet. In fact, I think she's the only character in this game that has a hard winning matchup against Fleet. I think maybe Ranno could be considered to beat Fleet as well, but everyone is either going even against that character or just straight up losing. And because of that, in the bracket, she just has a lot of matchups that are going to be played into her favor. A majority of the matchups she plays are going to be in her favor, which is obviously nice. And the second reason why I think Fleet found so much success at this event was going to be the fact that just like all of the good Fleet players happen to be here. Like, just genuinely, Cakeassault, B-Bats, Mystery Show, those are probably the best 3 Fleets in the world. And they all showed up at this event, and they just were not projected to play each other until top 8. So I understand why there was a lot of Fleets that were able to get this deep into a tournament. But undeniably, to get 4 of a character into a top 8, they at least have to be pretty good. And I would see Fleet is a very good character. I still don't think she's on that level with characters like Ranno, Maple, even Wrastor, to be honest. But first things first, you have Float as a mechanic, which is just incredibly broken. Not only is your microspacing just inherently amazing, but the way that Fleet works specifically with her side B that can drag the opponent off stage, and then her forward air, which is like lasting for a million years and can drag the opponent off stage, and then you can end it with a neutral air or a back air. All of a sudden, your opponent just died at 40-60% because you just carried them off stage like it was nothing. And if they don't die from that final hit of the neutral air or the back air, then you get to edge guard them with down airs from a million miles away. And if you somehow don't manage to snipe them with a down air, then you get to ledge trap them with your side B and all of your other moves. Like, you are just so overwhelming as Fleet, even though maybe some of your combos aren't as strong, maybe you don't have as good kill confirms. She has the strongest edge guarding in the game. Side B is one of the most broken moves in the game. And of course, she has Float as a mechanic. Float is just like ridiculous on any character. Now that we've talked about all the characters, we can talk about the players of this event, and we're only going to be looking at the top 4 for this event, but every single time I make a Rivals of Aether 2 recap, we're going to be focusing more and more on the players and less on the characters that they are playing. So if you're curious about the run, just leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to tell you how that player did. But starting off in the top 4 with our 4th place finisher of Pikmon, he's going to end up getting wins on Amsa and Evil Narduar to get into the top 8 through the winner's side, and Evil Narduar was going to be our 4th seed of this event, and he was the only top 4 seed that didn't end up getting into the winner's side top 8. Now, I do think that forseburn destroys loxodont. I think the big body characters get absolutely ravaged by this character just because forward air and up air are so easy to confirm into, and something that I think Pikmon was getting a ton of value out of that I think a lot of forseburn players need to start doing is forward smash and up smash, but not as combo enders, rather combo starters. Just using that initial hit of forward smash to either get a down tilt or, if you could, an up tilt afterwards. Same thing usually with up smash as well, or up strong I should say. Just gives forseburn an insanely big burst range, like bigger than loxodont Axe's burst range. The cape is a really good disjointed tool that he has that, while frame data wise isn't the fastest thing in the world, the burst option on it is just so unexpected, and it lets you combo into pretty much anything you want. You do have to hit a certain hitbox of it. You hit just the edge of the cape, you're really only going to be able to get a down tilt or just, of course, the second hit of forward strong. But Pikmon getting a ton of value out of that, and something that he was also getting a lot of value of is going to be just the down B. When I first saw forseburn as a character, I initially thought that they would be making a lot more value out of the smokes, just trying to be deceptive, hiding themselves, being tricky with the clones, and you did have Pikmon definitely finding value out of that, but he was focusing a lot more so on getting that down B charge just because it is a super solid kill confirm and one that forseburn definitely needs. This character doesn't have the strongest amount of kill potential, but Pikmon had no trouble finding those stocks, whether it be from just raw smash stack hits because those moves are extremely disjointed, or using those smash stacks to combo up into down B, finding a back air. Just so many different ways. Pikmon was very creative in the ways that he was able to steal the stocks, rack up that damage, and he had an amazing run at this event. Really quickly, I realized I forgot to mention what happens once he got into top 8. He has a game 5 set versus Cakeassault, which is obviously really impressive considering the last time they played it was a 3-all in Cakeassault's favor. So clearly Pikmon has put some time into that matchup, and it paid off in the loser side where he beats KYB in a game 5 set. It was the 4th player that ended up getting top 8 at this event with Fleet. And then for loser semis, he is going to end up losing to Leffen. I just think that matchup is really, really difficult for forseburn. In 3rd place, you're going to have Leffen. He ends up getting a win over Hayes before falling to Cakeassault, though he does manage to take a game, and to get into the top 8, he ends up beating Bunthers. And this is a really nice win for Leffen, just considering that I think the last big event he went to for Rivals was Genesis, and he definitely ended up getting double eliminated by Kragg at that event. So to be able to beat a player of Bunthers' caliber, one of the better Kragg players in the game right now, I think is a really good sign for Leffen that he's put in his homework in that matchup. I do think it's a matchup where you have Ranno excelling as well, so it makes sense that he would find success. And after he gets that 3 over Bunthers, he's got a ton of momentum behind him as he again 3-0s both Mata and B-Bats to get to the top 4. Once in the top 4, he gets that 3-1 win over Pikmon, and I do think that Ranno does pretty good against forseburn. You're just really overwhelming in general, and for that 3rd place match, you're going to have him fighting up against Mystery Soul, and he bows out at 3rd place. Manages to take him to game 5, but gets double eliminated by Fleet. So I guess he knows what character he has to work on from this event. But Leffen was very impressive on the Ranno. I wouldn't call him the best Ranno player in the world, but I would easily put him in contention for that title. I think that he could maybe get a little bit more value out of the darts, but literally every other thing he was doing was incredible. He was able to find way more smash stacks than I've seen from any other Ranno player. Every single combo that he had either ended in a forward air or in a strong attack. He was getting a lot of use out of back air, and it's not like his needle usage was bad. He was still getting a lot of value out of needles. I just meant more so within the combos, using them to kind of keep your advantage state going, but he just didn't need to. He was so quick and aggressive that he was just always on top of his opponent that he never needed the needle to actually make up that space. So Leffen, amazing tournament run from him, and if he figures out the Fleet matchup, he might be unstoppable. In 2nd place, you got Mystery Soul. He's going to get wins on Not Dead and Cheesy Potato to get top 8 through the winner's side. And shout out to Cheesy Potato for taking a game in that set, because I think Kragg gets destroyed by Fleet. And I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty sure Mystery Soul agrees with me with the way that he played that set. Once in the top 8, you have a 3-0 over B-Bats in the Fleet Ditto. So Mystery Soul being the better Fleet there, but he wasn't the better Fleet in the winner's finals against Cakeassault. Ends up losing that one 3-1. In the loser's finals, he beats Leffen in a game 5. Almost a reverse 3-0 from Leffen, but Mystery Soul just barely stops the rampage there. And in the grand finals, it's the exact same thing as the winners finals. The Fleet Ditto 3-1 in Cakeassault's favor, but Mystery Soul looked amazing at this event, and there was a lot of fleet players doing really well, so it's kind of hard to distinguish what he specifically was doing good at. But if I had to give him credit for one move in particular, it would be his usage of up B. The amount of platform canceling that he was doing with up B and just using it as a combo starter, which I've literally never seen before, also a combo ender from time to time, is just like really, really impressive. I thought he was using that move excellently, way better than I thought people would already be using it. Just the movement that he was able to get with it, as well as his usage of down B, I thought was quite good. Not as significantly better as it was in the case of up B, but he was getting a lot of value out of it. And then all of that basic fleet stuff he was doing extremely well, laddering the people off stage. His walling was amazing, his edge guarding was incredible, and he got second place at the event. He clearly played extremely well. And our final player that we got to talk about is, of course, the winner of the event, Cakeassault. Back-to-back major wins for him. And at Heatwave 7, he did it without dropping any games. So he did drop a couple games here. Technically an underperformance, but I guess we're not going to harp on that too much. We'll give the guy a break. He's going to get wins on JC, Onyx, and Leffen to get into top 8 through the winner's side, only dropping a game to Leffen prior to top 8. Once in top 8, Pikmon manages to take him to game 5. Again, huge shouts to Pikmon and the adaptations, or rather the adaptations that he made in that set from Heatwave 7. But Cakeassault still comes out on top, and then in the winners and grand finals, he beats Mystery Soul 3-1 in both sets. And Cakeassault is looking clearly like the best Rivals of Aether 2 player in the world right now, getting dominant wins at both of his events. And coming into this weekend, we have LACS Rivals. Cakeassault's going to be there. Mystery Soul's going to be there. A bunch of really talented Rivals of Aether 2 players are going to be there. And he seems to be the one that is poised to take the cake, no pun intended, as it stands right now. And with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this sport. It's been absolutely unreal as late. If there's anything I left out, got wrong, or if you just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. Be sure to sub while you're down there, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.